Hey there, Shalligators. Well, it's Britney, bitch. Well, it's Britney being a bitch. That's what we're gonna talk about today. Britney Spears body shaming Christina Aguilera's apparently fat backup dancers. I don't know. And the backlash against her. And I am fucking loving this because you know nothing makes me as happy as when the woke eat their own, when they turn on each other. And we here in the side of logic and sanity and dignity, we've just got our popcorn and we're like, you don't fucking say. That's interesting. I'm gonna break down what's going on. Why this seemed to be the line in the sand where everyone's like, Britney has gone too far. I'll tell you exactly why people think that this is just like so beyond, when shitting all over her children, her own children, not just children in general, because children in general are a nightmare. I agree with that. Trashing her own children was fine, but this somehow was like a bridge too far. I'm just so excited. Let's get into it. But before we do, just want to remind you guys, we have some openings for some trips. We have two spaces left for our Italy getaway this November. It's in early November. We are going to Rome, Tuscany, Florence. It's going to be so amazing. I just cannot even wait. You know how much Italy means to me. It means so much to me. We're going back next April. We are going to Milan, Lake Como, and the Amalfi Coast. If you can't make our trip now in November, I understand it's like right around the corner. Please try to come with us next spring. It's going to be beautiful. It's a totally different kind of itinerary. It's going to be very glammy, very jet set, but still super affordable and just a great, wonderful bonding sisterhood thing. Also, bonding and sisterhood is the Shallontourage. So if you guys happen to watch, or maybe didn't watch, my Alpha Academy Sexy Session hookup tutorials, I mean, they were fucking phenomenal. They were phenomenal. And you want to watch them more, you want to watch them again. Or maybe you just want to bond with other Shalligators and have a cozy little corner of the internet. Or maybe you want some bonus videos from me, some bonus tutorials, some really cool extra content. Head on over to the link down below to join this I always get it wrong. Shallontourage. I came up with the name. Why can't I say it? It's just kind of like our little clubhouse on the internet. And I'm really excited to say that we're rolling out some new content. I say we, like anybody else writes it or creates it. It's very much all me. And you can tell. Some new content. I'm doing much more long form blog posts. Like I'm breaking down sex tips from porn stars. I'm breaking down a lot of psychological studies that have just come out and what they mean for us. Like what secrets men and women hide, you know, and how it differs. How marriage changes relationships and changes people fundamentally. What's some other things? Oh, how to hack your hormones, how to increase dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. And we also have Evil series, we have School of Lies, and then after that, we have a few week series on how to cheat and get away with it. So I'm going to teach you how to be a good liar and a good cheater because I'm a bad person. But I guess I'm not all bad because I would love it if you guys would donate to one of our own, a Shalligator named Jerry Beth Silva. She's trying to raise some money to keep rescuing dogs and cats in Venezuela. Truly, $5, $10 goes such a long way. It adds up. We have really raised a good amount of money for Jerry Beth, and I really would love to keep that going so that she's not worried about putting food on her own table to help these animals, you know, and it's just, she's really doing God's work and she's just a little angel. So if you think dogs and cats are angels too, she would really appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to being a bad person. So Britney, here's what's going on. Okay, so Britney Spears posted this like meme. It was a quote by Rodney Dangerfield. I found there was only one way to look thin. Hang out with fat people. Funny. And she said, I wish I could have chosen the nannies for my children, ... my dancers, ... I mean, if I had Christina Aguilera's dancers, I would have looked extremely small. I mean, why not talk about it? 2 exclamation points or question marks. Don't you think my confidence would have been a bit better if I could choose where I lived, ate, whom I called on the phone, dated, and who was on stage with me? It's hard sometimes now that I see how much of my womanhood was stripped away at that time and every person sat back and didn't say a thing. So it's fucking sick of her. Anyways, first of all, anyways isn't a word, it's anyway. I will be here talking about things people never talked about. People didn't like that. People like, Britney, this ain't it. You need to delete this. Don't body shame. And then Christina Aguilera unfollowed her. I don't know why she followed her in the first place. And this is why my reptilian little heart is filled with delight. We just did a video about how Britney shredded her sons, like basically lumping them into the pile with Britney's mom, Britney's dad, the conservators, everyone who was holding her down. She thinks her sons were just as complicit in this. They were literal children. I don't mean like how the Trump kids are they're children of Donald. No, these were like 8, 10, 12, 15. They're children. And some of you people, God bless you. Life must be so difficult for you because clearly you can't quite make a logical argument work. I have no idea how you've survived to any sort of adulthood to leave these comments, but you're doing amazing, sweetie. I was getting comments like, you have no idea what Britney has been through. She was controlled and blah, blah, blah. Let's say that that's true. Were her children doing it? Were her children doing that? Her children were making those decisions. Her children were being consulted. Should mom stay in a conservatorship? Or maybe were children actually the victims of that circumstance almost more than anyone? They had their family structure completely fucked and fractured. No voice, no money of their own. I mean, you can bitch about Britney all you want. At the end of the day, she's a rich ass woman. She's a rich white American woman. I want to know who's higher in the food chain than that. So it just gets a little hard for me to feel all these feels. Like, you cannot possibly tell me that her kids deserve to be shamed in public the way she has done. If she really wants a genuine relationship and she's like, they never treated me like a person. Okay, so you want to be treated like a real person. So your response is not to write them a letter, send them a text, call them, have someone deliver something to them. Your answer is to go on Instagram and do voice notes. That's how you get treated like a real person by the people you gave birth to, is to take it to the streets. But Britney's the victim. Britney's always the victim. I bring this up because, like I said, I'm delighted that people are turning on her because they're showing their ass. And you know what their asses are? You know what all of these backlash, you know what their asses are? Their asses are fat. These are fat people doing this. I say this because of all the demented, unhinged things we've seen Britney do, posting her labia on Instagram, like these crazy methed out captions blaming her children for ruining her life because they came into the world with an agenda to save her life. Oh, I didn't know that. That's funny. I thought they came into the world. Okay, sorry. No one had a problem with that. Leave Britney alone. She suffered. That was all fine. But when Britney comes for the fatties, oh no. So that tells me that all these people standing her identify as that. We're only offended when someone is pushing on us. Very few of us are secondhand offended. I mean, what kind of cuck are you? Like, not that you shouldn't stand up for other people, but it's like, the backlash. Like, okay, wait, hold on. You're the person who stands up for other people. Well, you weren't standing up for kids, right? I mean, you didn't unfollow her when she's shitting on her children. That's fine. But when she talks about fat people, suddenly you're just at your breaking point. You're not someone who stands up for other people. You're someone who's triggered by a fit person saying some people are fat. And those people I saw in that picture were fat, and I would look thin next to them. That triggers you. You had no problem with a woman saying, I don't believe in God because of my sons. Can you imagine if your parents said that to you? It's ghastly. That's disgusting. But no, that's all right. Fuck them. Fuck those kids. Yeah, I don't even care. Is she talking about bodies? Is she body shaming? Fuck you, dude. No one should be listening to these people. But apparently Britney did, because she posted, I don't even know what this is supposed to be, elf angels named Avery and Aulette. She is so unhinged. And like I said, I'm sorry in the other video, it's like, If you're like, she's mentally ill. Exactly. I know that. Everyone knows that. It's actually pretty easy to see. She's also not doing jack shit about it. And she's free now, right? And yet nothing is different in her life. Not what she posts. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't work. Her last album was 2011. What has she been doing with her time besides twirling with her meth face? Like, what does she do all day? She doesn't better herself. She doesn't better the world around her. There's no foundation. There's no volunteer work. There's no outreach, not even to her own sons. All Britney does is bitch and feel sorry for herself. That's all she does. Everything circles back to her. Christina Aguilera's backup dancers somehow victimize Britney Spears. Somehow that is a touch point of her own sob story. And they're not, I don't think they're fat. I don't know. They probably have a hell of a lot better cardiovascular system than I do. Okay. So here's Britney's apology. It's not. By no means was I being critical of Christina's beautiful body. It is what it is. It is what it is. Not a compliment. Can you imagine if you're like trying on prom dresses? You're like, what do you think? And your mom's like, it is what it is. Baby, did you like that blowjob? I mean, it is what it is, Sarah. I flew to see her show once, and the main thing I noticed was the difference of our people on stage. Everything has 3 exclamation points. Should I do the gull noise? Because her grammar and her punctuation, it's like a seagull. By no means did I even mention Christina. Look at my post. I was inspired by her show, and she is a beautiful woman of power. Thank you, Xtina, for inspiring me. So this was a compliment. To be honest, I'm not trying to be critical of anybody. What I posted is a projection of the insecurities I deal with all the time. Here we fucking go. Here we go. Do you have a paper bag to blow in? Because you're going to be so surprised. As a result of how my parents in the media have treated me. I would never intentionally body shame anybody because I know what it feels like. Well, I mean, okay. I struggle with this because of how I feel about myself, not because I hate how anybody looks. I feel like my family knew I was insecure and people were trying to purposefully feed into this insecurity by not letting me have a choice in the people who are on stage with me. What is this circular? This is my favorite. Are you guys ready for this? Oh my God. I appreciate you all being understanding with me as I figure out this new life I'm living. If you're looking at this purely from a manipulation standpoint, she got an A+. She employed gaslighting. I'm not even saying that. You're crazy. She scapegoated. It was my parents and the media. My mom actually wrote this post. It was my parents and it was the media. It was that paparazzo from 2009 who did this. That's what this was all about. And most importantly, she played the grand high wizard card of manipulation, pity. Pity. This whole thing is just an exercise in pity. And the very last, I appreciate you being understanding as I figure out this new life. What the fuck new life? What new life? What's so different? We just went over this. What's different? You're still shit posting on Instagram. That hasn't changed. You're still not working. You don't do anything. The only thing that is different is that you got married to an obvious grifter. So the only change that's different in your life is positive from your point of view. You have the love of your life. I don't have the love of my life. Your dude's all ripped up. He seems like he maybe has a small wiener, but that's fine. So this new life is better, and yet you're less effective as a person. Do I have this right? You're a bad mom because your kids say that, and they're like, we want you to be stable, and you're not. So, but they're the problem, remember, like, because ew, what kind of bullshit kid wants a stable mom? Whoa, like, way to just not treat me like a person. You just want someone who's going to be there and be stable? How dare you? How dare you? this new life I'm living. I'm just a baby bird. I just hatched. I'm just a new soul in the world. No, you're not, because nothing is different about how you lived your life under the conservatorship versus now. You are not different at all. And once again, logic tells us maybe the conservatorship wasn't really as oppressive as you're making it seem. And times, yes, you were being forced to work and fed all this Adderall and blah, blah, blah. But as we said, you haven't done anything since 2011. That was your last album. It was called Femme Fatale. You don't tour, you don't guest hook, you're not singing verses, you're not dancing, playing small shows, writing albums. What is the problem? If her life under this conservatorship really was so oppressive, you would think her life now would be completely different. She'd be working, traveling, wearing different things, like totally, like I'm breaking out, people, right? But it's the same. So you don't get to have it both ways, Britney. You don't get to act exactly the way you've been acting for, 2 decades or however long it was, I don't know, 15 years. But then also say like, I'm just a newbie. I'm so new. I'm a baby mouse. I'm a little baby mouse. I hatched out of a mouse egg because I think that's where mouses come from. Don't run that game here, girl. Don't run that game here. But as usual, I'm the bad guy for just pointing out gaps in logic. I'm sorry. Like, I'm literally just trying to connect dots that won't connect because they don't make any sense. But I'm the bad guy. I have no empathy. I mean, you're right. I don't have any. I used to have a ton of empathy for Britney. I really did. Like, I looked up to her. She was like the queen of everything. She launched 1 million eating disorders. She's the whole reason I was bulimic in college. I wanted to look exactly like her. But that empathy is gone. And now it's been transferred to her children, who really didn't do anything to deserve this. I mean, not a thing. Not a thing. Have they been perfect? Probably not. Are they brats? I don't know, maybe. So hold on though. If you're going to say that them not being perfect kids means they lose their parent and they get to be vilified by their parent, what does that say about you? Were you a perfect child? When your mom yelled at you because you spilled your juice? Gosh, I guess you deserved it, huh? When you were trying on that prom dress and your mom said, it is what it is, I guess you deserve that also, right? Because if her kids did, then you do too. That's how logic works. It's applicable to everyone. Kind of like science. It's the science of logic. So, I don't think we have a lesson in today's video, do we? I guess maybe it's look out for manipulative people and those cards they play. Pity, gaslighting, scapegoating. They're going to weave a whole tapestry of bullshit trying to keep you from seeing the truth. Because remember, when you're like, I'm sorry, this just doesn't add up. You're going to be the bad guy. You are going to be the bad guy. Huh. I am very interested to see if this is like the collapse of the Britney stan fandom. I really am. Because if you think she's learned a lesson, well, let's go back to her response. There was no accountability in here. And accountability is a funny thing because, people came for me and tried to cancel me, and I put out a little statement. I was like, hey, I hear some of the feedback. You don't want armchair psychology. Okay, I get it. And someone's like, is that supposed to be an apology? I was like, no, you stupid bitch. It isn't. Because I'm not sorry. I'm the queen of toxic. What do you fucking want? I'm not sorry. Do you want me to lie and say that I am? No. So on one hand, it's like, well, if Britney's not sorry, she ain't sorry, don't pretend. But that kind of tells me this is probably going to repeat itself. And sure enough, I haven't changed. I've gotten worse. So of course, Britney, well, she's off the res. What do we expect to happen here? What do we expect to happen? She's never wrong. She's never sorry. She's never wrong. She is always always going to be the victim. She will be bitching about her mother long after her mother is dead. She's Meghan Markle. She's Meghan Markle. All these things that were done to me, all these things were done to me. And listen, things were done to Britney. Absolutely. The media scrutiny, the way people looked at her and wrote about, absolutely. But you have to move on at some point. Not because, oh, well, it's okay and I don't care now. No, you don't ever have to be like, that's okay. But you do have to decide, I am no longer going to live in that space. That season has ended. That was a winter and I was bundled up and I was freezing. But the summer is here. Why am I still in this parka on the beach? Who am I really hurting? Well, one time I needed this parka. I used to need this parka. Okay, well, you don't now. So again, like, who are you hurting? Truly, when we refuse to move on, I mean, we only hurt ourselves, and it's not fair. I know it's not fair. It's not fair. When we have a righteous anger, a righteous reason to stay here in this parka and show everyone what they did to us. I mean, you can. A lot of people do. A lot of people stay there. They stay there forever. I was thinking about my grandmother today, who is my immortal beloved. Like, I loved her so much and I miss her so much, but holy shit, she was a victim. She would, if you didn't know her and you just had her write like some bullet points of adjectives about her life story, she was Nelson Mandela. No one had suffered. She was Anne Frank in the attic. No one had suffered. And her life was actually fantastic. It was glamorous and privileged and successful. She would recount like one time my great-grandmother, her mother, insulted her. Like, I can recite it from memory because I heard it that much. And it's like, she was like 8 at the time. It's like, okay, you got a cold prickly instead of a warm fuzzy. I'm so glad you're 92 years old and you're still bitching about this. I think it would do Britney some good to get out. If she hadn't been rich, she would have been sucking dick at a truck stop for money, for drug money. She'd be dead. Britney would 100% be dead. She would never have made it to 40. If she did, she wouldn't have any teeth. Be riddled with, like, who even knows, truck stop diseases, tetanus and the like. That conservatorship saved her. Her money saved her. I would challenge you, Britney, and Britney stands. Go to Louisiana. Go to your hometown. Talk to some people who are trying to get off oxy, trying to get off meth. See how great their life is. See if maybe they feel like they have so much more freedom and autonomy and choice. Talk to them. You know what? Let's take drugs off the table. Take drugs off the table. Just go down to any sort of Skid Row or bad area in town and talk to some homeless people who are very clearly mentally ill, scratching and twitching and yelling, and they have no one to help them. They probably kill for a fucking conservatorship, a warm place to sleep, a doctor. Maybe the doctor give them too much meds. Okay. It's not a perfect scenario. It's not a perfect answer. But I think most people can agree Britney had it a little better. So Brit, if you have trouble moving on, the way to do that is to reframe what happened. You can't change what happened, but you can change what it meant. And maybe what it meant is, you know what? My boys grew up in a stable household. It wasn't my household, but yeah, I pay their dad 40 grand a month, and by the grace of God, I can afford to. And those kids never wanted for anything, because if I'd had them in Louisiana, they'd be on meth. They'd be in juvie. They'd be dead. And so this isn't ideal, but it's better than what the alternatives were going to be. Maybe it's, okay, like, I actually haven't had to work for 10 years. You didn't have any freedom, Britney? You weren't. Do you have to work for 10 years? Do you think like in the next 10 years you'll work? Me too. Yeah. I've actually also worked for the past 10 years and the 10 before that. I know. It's crazy. It just, everywhere you look, there's more work. What's next? Other work? Yes, that's how they get you. I'm not saying Britney had a fair deal. 100% she didn't. No chance. Not at all. It's ghastly. But she didn't have it the worst. And you know what? Life is about that half full, half empty. And if you can't step back and say that, this is why I'm happier than you. I got a great life because I choose to see my life that way. And pound for pound, I probably have a worse life than Britney Spears. I have a better wardrobe. God knows I got better teeth. But she's fucking crushing it. Mansion, hot husband, money in the bank, boats. What's not to like? Well, if you ask Britney, everything. So yeah, long story short, I'm out of empathy for her. In this bullshit non-apology to Christina Aguilera or whoever, no real accountability. You know, if she had said, you know, I'm projecting these body insecurities that I have, I'd be like, you know what? Yes, of course, because of course. I have issues with fat people too, because I was always told I was fat. Like, I totally get that. But she took it one step further and she's like, because of what other people did to me. Well, bitch, of course other people are going to be the ones that make you feel insecure. That's life. That's how insecurities work. They literally come from comparison, right? You know? But again, it's like she was so close to taking some accountability, but then immediately walked out. But it's not me. Because if she had just stood in, these are insecurities I have, then the logical end of that sentence would be, I need to figure this out. I need to do some work on myself. Oh, no. That's not Britney though. Britney doesn't need to work on herself at all. Britney's fine. She was always fine. Remember? We talked about this in the last video. She never needed a conservatorship. She didn't need that. Okay, she didn't need that level of conservatorship maybe, or that kind, or that, you know, for sure. But she needed help. No, I didn't. Okay. So if you think Britney is somehow going to get better and go on to live this glittering existence, she won't. People like her never do. They're so incredibly bitter. Justifiably, yeah, okay. So if you think this was an outlier, that Britney's like learned her lesson, buckle up. The woke mob has their target set on her, and I am so excited to watch how this goes. Like I said, Shalligators, come with me to Italy. We're going to Rome, Tuscany. So if we think that this is like it for the Britney circus, no pun intended, it's not. It's just, we're just going to keep this train rolling because like I said, you know, she's not an accountable person. She's not an aware person. And she's not a person truly, I don't think, that wants to be happy. She's just too stuck in the past, and, you know, and there's people who could help work through that. You know, they could help her. Cognitive behavioral therapists, doctors, you know, shit. Some people even do electroshock therapy. Do you know that? That's like back. Isn't that crazy? Ugh. Don't do that, Britney. Don't do that. But maybe some therapy. I don't know that would hurt. Maybe some books. Oh, I don't think she can read, but therapy would be great. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. I would love to see you guys in Italy either this November or next April. It's going to be so much fun. And like I said, if you want to watch the Alpha Academy Sexy Session tutorials, if you missed them or you just want to watch them like ad nauseum on repeat, join the Shallontourage. You're going to have access to all of those plus bonus videos. I do like 4 bonus videos a week over there, plus bonus podcasts, long form blog posts, and really cool deep dives into psychological things and studies that can make us better and level us up. And of course, the Telegram chat where I connect with all of y'all. I'll see you later, Shalligators.